So in this video, we are trying to answer whether or not the 4 examples that were provided is a purchase of a final good. So to answer this question and similar questions in the future, it is very important to understand the difference between intermediate goods and final goods. And the difference between intermediate goods and final goods is namely that intermediate goods are used for production of other goods. So this is kind of tricky because the same thing could be used for production of another good, but it could also be used for consumption. For example, our first. And just let me step back. So intermediate goods are used for production of another good. Well, final goods means they are used for consumption or for investment. It's not used to produce another good. So. And just like I mentioned, it is kind of tricky because different person can have different purpose when using the same kind of goods. So our first example was the purchase of flour by a bakery. So obviously bakery will use flour to produce cakes, breads. So they use flour to produce other goods, and therefore the purchase of flour by a bakery is not a purchase of final good. However, if the case is that it is the purchase of flour by a lady, then the lady probably would just use the flour for her own consumption. She will make breads for herself. So in that case, it is a purchase of a final good. But the purchase of flour by a bakery, it is not a purchase of final good because the bakery will be using the flour for some other productions. And second case is the purchase of an aircraft carrier by the federal government. This is a purchase of a final good because it is unlikely that the federal government will produce another product out of the aircraft, right? They would just do the government purchase and use their aircraft for their business, but it is not a purchase of an intermediate good. It is a purchase of a final good. Thirdly, the purchase of French wine by a U.S. consumer. This is, I think, clearly a purchase of a final good because the consumer would just consume the wine instead of making something else out of the wine. Therefore, the third case is an example of a purchase of a final good. Lastly, the purchase of a new airline by American Airlines. This will be considered a purchase of an intermediate good because the American Airlines will make business out of the new airlines, right? They will probably reconstruct the new airline or the airliner and then trying to make the airliner the product of American Airlines. So the purchase of a new airliner by American Airlines is not a purchase of final good because American Airlines are still going to use it for making further amount of money.